returned once again today to actually deliver the very final stream of Hinamatsuri, the anime. Yeah, we're good to go. We're good to go. The sound's working perfectly. So yes, as we know, today, well, Friday's episode actually was the final episode of Hinamatsuri. And yeah, I mean, it's been quite a ride so far, I must say. It's been kind of a very interesting adaptation. You actually go back and read the manga afterwards, because a lot of the things do tend to get moved around and also kind of omitted as well. So it's very interesting that reason, but on its own, it's a very freaking good show, and I actually do love it. So hopefully the final episode actually does deliver a kind of a satisfactory, to an extent, final, because I kind of imagine it won't be the greatest final, because these tend to kind of either go one or two ways. Like, it either opens up for a season 2, or it kind of just leaves and it just kind of goes, oh, and you get one of those two endings. Sometimes that's what happens. I mean, some shows have really freaking good endings, but it's very hard in the comedy genre or anything like this to actually have a very satisfying ending. So hopefully this delivers a kind of a conclusive, to an extent, ending. Actually doesn't actually kind of make me go, oh. That's all I require in life. That's all I require. So anyways, put on Twitter that I've gone live. So, gone live for Hinamatsuri episode 12. So I'm going to check before I start. Yeah, the KBS is actually working perfectly as well, because the KBS tends to either go up or really freaking down. So at least it's actually working today. At least it's actually working. So yeah, let's see whether or not Nita actually can in theory find Hina as well, because she's got missing the mountains. So let's see what happens in that storyline. So without further delay, let's get the show on the road. So in 3, 2, 1, let's begin this thing now. I really feel sorry for these two. These two really have it tough when you think about it. That's always true. At least it's always the manga. At least it's always the manga. I actually wondered, are they going to change the opening as well? Because the openings, the opening always changes something if something actually happens to the narrative. So I wonder if they're actually going to change it so that, let's say, whether or not Hina will be there, but Hina's actually there. If we actually would change it completely. It's really sad to see this series go, because on its own, it's a freaking fantastic show. It's probably one of the best kind of comedy slice of life shows I've seen in quite a while. Because they tend to either be really freaking kind of good for the first six episodes, and then falter towards the end. But this show's constantly been really freaking good, like on its own. I mean, it's been glossing over the fact that Mao is really freaking like I don't know, spooked. I don't know what the word is. But yeah, just really just not doing so good mentally. It kind of just glossed over that, made it seem very comedic, but you kind of realise that she isn't doing so good. But, I mean, other than that, this show's been really freaking good. Just on its own. So yeah, it's a shame to see this series actually go. Damn. Why is it always Hitomi as well? Hitomi's always gets a short end of the stick all the time. It's true. That dude is just like the whole entire time. You're just kind of like, wait a second. Man, I really feel sorry for Hitomi. I really feel sorry for her. She always kind of gets a shot in the stick every single episode. Always something happens to her. I'm not too sure as that was like uplifting or really depressing at the exact same time. I'm not too sure what to feel at that point. That was a it was sort of a really weird episode because you're kind of like, wait a second, what do I feel? See, I can't deny it. It shows my favorite shows the whole entire year. I freaking love it. It's so freaking good. It's one of those shows that it just does everything. That's what it does. It just does everything. So I can see she hasn't fully recovered yet either. She's actually still kind of kept it going. Her whole entire character is really freaking depressing. Like, really depressing. It's one of those. She's one of those characters that the anime kind of played it off to like to a comedic extent, and it was like, well, you do realize she's basically just like all alone on an island, slowly losing the will to live. I think now it's sort of coming to full circle. But I mean, at least the show's actually addressing the whole entire idea. I quite like that. It's addressing the whole entire idea about Miles' character, about her mental trauma. Damn. They actually just went there. They actually just went there. Okay, that was pretty good. I give them that one. That was actually really freaking good. I mean, it was just a character to basically to a punchline, but I mean, it was quite funny how they did that. They set the whole entire thing for 12 weeks just to kind of go bam and end it. I thought that's actually pretty freaking well done. I give him props for that one. It was really freaking good. Also realised that Futable worked on this show as well, so it's probably why some of the frames are really freaking good. They've built that punchline up for 12 weeks. I can't believe it. Especially for when she was actually kind of on the island as well. Well, there we are. That's episode 12. And also the final episode of the whole entire series. So yeah, I mean, was it a conclusive ending? Not really, when you think about it. It didn't really kind of end anything. There wasn't an ending to speak, but I mean, it's one of those endings that kind of reminds you what made the series so good in the first place when you think about it. It's one of those kind of endings, which itself actually does work in its own way. I mean, it's depressing the fact we don't have a season 2 announcement or any kind of continuation, not even an OVA, I don't think. So it's actually kind of depressing in that regard, because there actually is quite a lot of untapped potential in the show just to actually kind of explore. But hopefully at one point season 2 actually does happen, because it needs to happen, because it's one of those things that a lot of the chapters never got adapted that actually did in theory flesh out certainly some of the characters. It needs to kind of happen because it was actually they actually did omit some quite funny chapters. So hopefully at one point we actually get the rest of the chapters they completely took off. But I mean, if we kind of look at the show from its own kind of in its own way and not actually kind of as an adaptation of the manga straight for straight adaptation, it was a really freaking good show. It really was. I mean, I loved it because it's one of those shows that I liked the way they kind of went about characterizing Nita's character, because again, it's one of those things I think I said it in my review last week. This whole entire idea of how they kind of went about not ever showing Nita's work, because they wanted to kind of just allow him to be different from what he's actually kind of associated with, actually kind of deconstruct the relationship he actually does have with that kind of work. I actually quite like that, because it's actually one of those things that kind of reminds you that he's actually a really freaking good person, and it actually comes all to a head when the actual kind of journalist has to kind of fabricate everything, because he's too good of a person to actually kind of say, well, look, I can actually say he's a bad person, so I've got a lie here. So I thought, in that regard, the series actually worked, because it's one of those things, it kind of explored the relationship between two people who are quite, I mean, virtually different in both ways. It's one of those things. It's actually one of those shows that the relationship actually allowed the characters to grow and actually become a lot better as people as well. Because as time went on, you can actually see this evident character arc within Nita's character. He wasn't a stale character. He wasn't very kind of static, which tends to be kind of a running theme with certain shows. It tends to be in this genre, this idea of a static character, this idea of a character who doesn't really go anywhere, it doesn't really do too much. And at that point, you kind of think to yourself, well, I'm wasting my time here. But Nita's character did have an evident character arc that actually went for the whole entire series in the background. It wasn't very kind of evident, if you get what I mean. It wasn't kind of like a very obvious character arc, but it kind of worked once you realised it was there. And it was actually one of those things that made the whole entire experience a lot better, because episode 11 really did deal with that whole entire character arc, and actually it all came to a head and actually really did have a really cathartic ending. So I thought in that way it was actually kind of good. And I liked also the way they actually kind of went about showing Hitomi's character, because Hitomi's character is very much represented as a kind of a character that's actually quite... She's a very nice person, she does nothing wrong, but in that, she has flaws, and I actually quite like that, because one of those things, it explores this idea that she can't say no, and in that way, she actually kind of falls into all these pitfalls that really kind of make you go, Christ, just give this girl a break. But in theory, also, she doesn't ever say no, so it's actually kind of one of those things. It's a double-edged sword, the way they actually kind of characterize certain characters, but it really does work, and I think this whole entire show really did work. It never really wasted any time, is what I'm trying to say. It never had a moment you honestly said to yourself, well, that was a waste of time, because it didn't really go anywhere. Certainly, some things did come back to actually kind of say, okay, so look, that actually did in theory have an ending. I mean, Mao's character arc pseudo-ended, when the fact that actually now she's going to Japan, but there's still a lot to go with her character, so hopefully actually do in theory kind of explore her character in season 2, because as I said beforehand, one of the things the show does have, which is that, I don't know if it's a problem or not, it's a confusing thing, it's the way they kind of show certain scenes in tone, because it's one of those things that certainly sometimes depressing things can happen, characters could be losing their effing minds, but it's played off in a comedic sense that you're kind of like, what the hell do I feel? I think Mao's character kind of suffered from that, because the whole entire time when she's on the island, it had a very upbeat music, kind of very comedic kind of outlook on it. I was like, yeah, but she's losing her effing mind on this island, and it's kind of, you saw the repercussions of that whole entire experience, because she actually carried those wooden dolls with her the whole entire time. She actually never ever once got rid of them. So it's one of those things. It's actually kind of an interesting way they kind of went about showing the tone. It wasn't always kind of like that, but certainly in certain episodes, you can see that it didn't really kind of tell you, okay, so you should be crying right now, you should be kind of laughing. it's one of those awkward laughs. You kind of like, but then deep down you're dying inside because you're just like, yeah, I know the reality of the situation. It's one of those things. It's an interesting way to kind of show your depressing like side of your anime, because it did do it completely with Anzu's character. When Anzu left the homeless people, that whole entire episode was depressing. It was very depressing. It was one of those ones that didn't really kind of show you it in a very committed fashion. No, it was very just sad. So that episode didn't really kind of suffer that problem, but a lot of episodes did actually kind of have that very interesting use of tone. But we actually got to see the actual kind of the outcome of Miles' character in the end. But I mean, yeah, it was a good show. It's a very kind of read the manga ending, I think, in a way. It's because there's no season 2, and the way they kind of ended it kind of felt as if it's like, okay, so you might need to go and read the rest of it to actually kind of find out what happens next. It's one of those things like certain shows do tend to have that problem. I think the show actually has it, but it's not really a problem because it's actually one of those things. It gives more exposure to the manga, and I think it's actually a really freaking good thing. So hopefully a lot of people actually after this show ended actually pick the manga up, because it's actually freaking phenomenal. Really, it is. It's one of those ones that everyone should go and read. But yeah, I mean, really, all in all, I said throughout the whole entire series, the way they kind of went about showing their characters, developing their characters, and also then deconstructing certain aspects of their characters was actually really freaking well done. I thought, in theory, the whole entire show worked. It actually really, there wasn't really anything I could actually honestly say actually was a flaw. If there's anything I would honestly say, well, I didn't really kind of like that aspect of the show. No, the show actually did everything that I wanted it to do, and actually did really freaking damn well. So in that regard, the show is pretty freaking amazing. It's one of my favorite shows of the whole entire year. Just for the sole reason it just had everything I asked for in a show like this, of this genre, and actually even gave him even more than that. So it's nice to have a surprise like this every once in a while, because you kind of get a lot of shows like this and they tend to just kind of stagnate after a while. They never tend to kind of realize their true potential. I think this show actually had that in droves. Actually kind of made you go, okay, so not all shows tend to kind of be like shows like that, like Sakamoto or stuff like that, which tend to kind of stagnate after a while. That kind of makes you go, okay, so what's the point of watching this show anymore? So yeah, I mean, hopefully get more shows like this as time goes on, because this show is really freaking good. It really damn was. I actually enjoyed really watching it every single week, so hopefully you did too as well. So with all that said, that is me done for today, and actually also done for this anime as well. So that's the first anime of the spring season, say summer then, that I'm actually finished. I believe tomorrow is Golden Kamui, so hopefully you will join me on that. But if you have enjoyed this whole entire stream and also my whole entire series as a whole, then do leave a follow on Twitch. If you enjoyed it here on YouTube and you do want to leave a like, then do leave a like, because indeed it does help quite a bit. If you have enjoyed what I do here on YouTube and you want to stay a little bit longer and actually join me on the summer season of anime, then do leave a sub, because indeed it does help quite a bit. But until tomorrow with JoJo Part 8 and also Golden Kamui's final episode, I will see you guys then. Bye for now.